Right, good morning, faculty, parents, and students, members of the Samuel Fuller community. I want to thank you for being here today. My name is Colleen Newcomb, and my thesis is The Stigma Surrounding the Manual Labor Trades. A young man walked into the guidance counselor office at his high school back in the year 1983. He was a top-notch student who would go on to graduate 11th in a class of about 250 students. The man sat down to discuss his syllabus for the year with the guidance counselor. This counselor saw potential in the young man. It was his job to reach into that untapped potential and bring it out for the world to see. The better the students, the better the colleges. The better the colleges, the better the high school looked to those around it. The young man had always enjoyed working with his hands. Wood shop, metal shop, printing, and other various shop courses had always interested him. But this was his senior year, and the electives he chose would define him, the guidance counselor reminded. It would be best, if he wanted to go to college, to say goodbye to those silly shop electives. The young man was not certain what he wanted to do with his life yet. He was considering becoming a computer technician, or something of the sort. But the enjoyment he received from working with his hands could make him happy too, he knew. So, against the wishes of the guidance counselor, who rolled his eyes when he heard, the man chose woodshop as his senior year elective. The guidance counselor watched with disdain as the young man took this class, but he also knew he could not prevent him from taking the courses he wanted. The young man went on and completed the school year happy with the decision he had made, and when it came time for his next step after high school, the young man made his choice, knowing he would be happy with the path he had selected for himself going forward. The question of the value of trade work is one that has long been discussed, even since the times of philosophers. Plato, one of the most influential philosophers to live, says in the Republic that the incapable craftsman mustn't practice his craft among us, so that our guardians won't be reared on images of vice, and so that other citizens do not put together a big bad thing in their soul. Elsewhere, he says that the state must look for those craftsmen whose good natural endowments make them able to track down the nature of what is fine and graceful, so that the young will be benefited by everything, and from that place, something of the fine works will strike their vision or hearing, resulting in the betterment of society. Respect for manual laborers has existed for centuries. In fact, it wasn't until recent times that people genuinely began to look down on the trades as viable career options. In the 1990s, there was a more significant push for academic courses to be taught in high schools to prepare more people for college. As a result, shop classes, which were considered unimportant, were cut from public schools. Since then, college has taken over the entire focus of most schools because raising the number of students continuing on to college after high school raises the appeal of that high school to incoming students. In fact, college has been a common track for the masses. Schools have shown an increasing desire to graduate future college students. In the year 1970, 7.4 million total students in the United States attended a college out of high school. In 2020, that number has risen to 19 million over the course of 5 decades. That is a 38.95% increase. There's nothing wrong with Americans going to college, but when the push for college makes a person feel that they have no other options, you have a problem. So, what are the trades, and how are they careers? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the phrase by trade is defined as used when indicating someone's job, especially a job that requires special training and skills and is done by using the hands. Example given, I am a carpenter by trade. And according to the Tulsa Welding School and Technology Center, a trade job is defined as a trade job is any occupation typically requiring skills, specialized skills learned through advanced training rather than a 4-year college or university. Even with the definitions of trades as having advanced training and skills, few people understand the work and dedication the careers need. There are many years of work involved in advancing yourself in a company, just as with any job. There are many technicalities of working in a trade that most people take for granted. An electrician has to check wires before he does anything with them to prevent electrical fires, injury, or death. A carpenter has to make sure materials are secure and properly built to prevent injuring others and to ensure good quality. And a gas pressure technician, for instance, has to be careful when he is working to prevent a catastrophic explosion from occurring. All these aspects are typical day-to-day experiences for these workers, and we often forget the skill required to work in these career fields. Through the years, however, presidents have often sought to correct the issue of labor work being underpaid or short-staffed. In 1933, the country was attempting to recover from the effects of the Great Depression, and President Franklin Roosevelt signed the National Industrial Recovery Act to build up the trade industries. The NIRA sanctioned, supported, and in some cases enforced an alliance of industries. The act further called for industrial self-regulation and declared codes of fair competition for the protection of consumers, competitors, and employers. Employees were given the right to organize and bargain collectively and could join or refrain from joining a labor organization. In April 2015, President Barack Obama created the Upskill Initiative. The Upskill Initiative was an attempt to bring education to trade careers. The act sought to give workers with no high school diploma or college degree the chance to return and raise their education and skill levels. The President's Upskill Initiative builds on job-driven training review that identified employer training for frontline workers as an area in need of more job-driven training strategies to meet business needs and provide more workers with a path to the middle class. Both presidents were in favor of training the careers and getting unions to work together. In the end, NIRA fell through, but the Upskill Initiative appears to have been somewhat effective in bringing awareness to the necessity of training workers properly. Looking at what has been said, some may wonder, is this issue important? How will this affect our world in the future? Should we focus on the issues of labor when other issues are so prevalent? This issue is important. On a worldwide scale, the United Nations has set a series of 17 global goals to be accomplished. Having people enter the trade careers is not specifically one of the goals, but robust infrastructure and the betterment of society are part of it. Having people enter the trade careers is key to establishing the robust infrastructure spoke about. The answer to getting these people interested into this is to show the value of trade careers and how they can help the world. Trade jobs are careers that are typically involve working with one's hands. This can take the form of an electrician, carpenter, welder, mason, or plumber. It can take the form of other jobs that people may not know are considered trade jobs, such as makeup artists, photographers, or head chefs. There are many opportunities for trade careers that people do not even consider or know about. So why aren't these trade opportunities made known and available to students? College has become the main focus for many schools, and with the academic push, trade opportunities have been pushed back. Plenty of students who were placed on courses for college discovered an interest in the trade careers, an option that had never been presented to them before. There are plenty of unique trade careers that are open to people with many interests, regardless of how book smart or not you are. The need for trade jobs is growing. Specialized fields are in search of skilled workers to fill those positions. According to the Lower Columbia College, there is a major shortage of skilled work laborers for specialized fields, and in their article, Why You Should Consider a Career in the Specialized Trades, they say, the skills trades shortage has been slowly growing for the past several years, but has really reared its head over the past 12 months. The majority of the discrepancy between supply and demand is due to waves of baby boomers retiring, with not enough skilled tradesmen coming in enough to replace them. There are so many opportunities for employment in the world, but not enough people have shown interest to be able to fill the growing gap. According to the same article, the Lower Columbia College states, another prevalent issue is a generalized lack of interest in the skilled trades from younger generations, having access to a much broader employment market than ever before. Employment opportunities have been growing, but there's a trend within younger generations that believe this work is outdated and unimportant. Due to this unbelief in the importance of the skilled trades, people are not being trained. Training is the key to the survival of the industry. In order for labor jobs to survive, training is required. Just as a person cannot decide to become a surgeon without attending medical school, a person cannot become a master electrician without proper training and practice. Granted, there is a large difference between wiring a house and performing life-saving surgery, but the idea remains the same. Training is necessary. The Journal of Light Construction has been focusing on the problem of the lack of trained workers in their article, Training the Trades. In their introduction to the series, they state, building a skilled workforce remains one of the biggest challenges to growth in the residential construction industry. Construction is a skilled trade. There is training necessary to be good at it. An understanding of math, technology, and machinery is necessary to have success in many trade careers, not just carpentry. One thing sorely lacking is broad awareness of and communication between the many effective educational programs worldwide. Progress toward a skilled workforce would accelerate if we were all rowing in the same direction, continues the article. The shortage of those skilled enough to do jobs is prevalent across all fields of the trade industry, as shown by the Indeed Career Guide. The demand for workers invites many to learn new skills and to be paid well for their hard work. And yet, many young men and women do not see the need or value in the trade careers. Stanley Black & Decker, a leading company in tool production for trade careers, performed a survey in 2022 among 3 groups of people: high schoolers ranging in age from 14 to 19, the parents of high schoolers, and those in the skilled trades themselves. According to their findings, the research found that many young people hold obsolete ideas about the trades, with 1 in 4, 23%, disagreeing that skilled trades work with cutting-edge technology, and 1 in 5, 18%, disagreeing that the work is in high demand. This is untrue. Cutting-edge technology such as 3D digital printing, automation, and even virtual reality is used by many workers in the trades daily. 3D printing allows trade companies to create specific components for jobs with less hassle. Automation is allowing for menial tasks done by hand to be done by machines, saving time and labor costs for workers and companies. Virtual reality has been introduced by companies for training purposes, especially for more dangerous trade careers, where training individuals to be safe is important before they enter the worksite. Obviously, as with everything, there are downsides and upsides of the use of technology. But ultimately, it is important to show that there are advances in technologies being used in industries that many people do not realize are occurring. There is also certainly no lack of work for tradesmen. It is shown that there are too many jobs and not enough people. Another mistaken belief younger generations have about the trades is that they do not pay well. This is also untrue. According to the same survey by Stanley Black & Decker, only 42% expect skilled trade workers to earn at least $50,000, and 19% of young people think that the starting pay for a skilled trade worker is less than $20,000. In fact, half of current skilled trade workers with less than 10 years' experience earned at least $50,000 to start. When compared to a student who earns a 4-year degree from a university, trade students can come out of school and within 5 years have earned $140,000 more than a university student. This goes to show that there are advantages to pursuing careers outside of the university track. College is not the only way to make a person successful. There are opportunities for scholarships and special classes within trade schools that are not advertised to the public as they should be. A person should be proud of the ability to work with their hands. It is a gift from God. From creation, man was made to labor, as he was created in the image of the first laborer. Ligonier Ministries, founded by Dr. R.C. Sproul, discusses this in the article, The Beauty of Manual Labor. God was the first manual laborer. He created all the materials in the world and worked them into shape. He made Adam from dust and Eve from a male rib. He made things out of things. He also elected them to work in the gardens and to care for the earth he had created. There is no manual work that should be viewed as beneath us. Work is sanctified, and any work we should be doing should be done for the glory of God. The Benedict option, written by Rod Dreher, states, "The most important labor lesson of the rule, though, is that a Christian must carry out work, and all other things he does, as a gift to God, as participation in ordering of his creation. This is as true of the carpenter and the accountant as it is of the minister and the schoolteacher. There is sanctity in the work we do, regardless of what it is. We must understand that whatever it is we do, we must do it for the glory of God. There's no greater or lesser work in God's eyes, as long as we do it with our whole heart." Scripture supports the value of all work, including manual labor. Exodus 35:31 states, "And he has filled him with his spirit, with skill, with intelligence, with knowledge, and with all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, for work in every skilled craft." There's an artistry to skilled work. Whether it is helping to build a house or laying bricks for a sidewalk, there is beauty in manual labor, and we should encourage it. Paul, the apostle, was a tent maker by trade, and in Acts 18, verses 1-3, he arrives in Corinth and stays and works with Aquila and Priscilla, a married Jewish couple. He works alongside Aquila, essentially to pay for his room and board. In a letter he writes to Timothy, he states, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." The need to provide for one's family trumps all discussion of work. Providing for relatives and loved ones is made a necessity. It does not matter if the work is manual labor or not. All type of work is necessary in the Christian life. Colossians 3:23-24 sums it up perfectly. "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." The work we do reflects not only on us, but on God. We should not praise the work of a teacher over the work of an electrician simply because one has a different education. What matters is doing everything to the best of your ability to glorify God in all manner of good and hard work, regardless of its type. Some may argue that working in a trade career is unhealthy and dangerous. There are certainly downsides in terms of health when working in a certain trade career environment, and danger is certainly prevalent in trade careers. Sickness can occur depending on what materials or weather conditions are used. There are safety standards in place, however, to prevent serious health conditions from occurring, and there are many health benefits to manual labor. Manual labor requires physical activity and exercise, which is good for a healthy life. It is also proven that exercise and physical activity can reduce stress. An article published by Harvard Health Publishing states, "Regular aerobic exercise will bring remarkable changes to your body, your metabolism, your heart, and your spirits. It has a unique capacity to exhilarate and relax, to provide stimulation and calm, to counter depression and dissipate stress." Stress causes many health conditions for people in their lives, and being able to dissipate the damage done by being involved in physically engaging work can be a wonderful way to keep people healthy. OSHA is another defender of the working man's health and safety. The company works to train people on how to stay safe and healthy, even in high-risk work environments. There is no guarantee of safety or health, especially on job sites, but there are rules and regulations to prevent the worst from happening, and the activity of the lifestyle is great for keeping a person healthy. Another argument made is that the trade careers do not have advancement or career guides laid out for workers to follow. This is certainly true, and many workers in the trades have begun to call out the system for its faults. This is an area where improvement is needed, but change is occurring. More and more companies are adopting strategies to train new employees better, to create a standard route for employees to follow. Companies such as Home Depot have created programs that work with tradespersons at any stage in their career to assist them in their career path. They offer comprehensive training and defined career path opportunities that support advancements and success in many trade careers. The labor union is also stepping up in this area, with programs such as the North Atlantic States Carpenters Apprenticeship Program. Our training programs have grown with our union by combining journey worker upgrade classes with the traditional apprentice programs. By taking advantage of training programs throughout their careers, carpenters keep their skills sharp and become more valuable to employers. Programs such as this exist across the nation for members of almost any trade. All that is required is the motivation to join the programs. Some people may believe these jobs are becoming obsolete and there is no real reason for people to pursue these jobs. But the effect they have on the economy and the world we are living in is great. The United Nations created the 17 Goals for Sustainability in 2015. Goals 9 and 11 require the need for skilled trade workers to keep the country running effectively. Goal 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. A subset of this goal is to, by 2030, upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable, with increased resource use efficiency and greater adoption of clean and environmentally sound technologies in industrial processes, with all countries taking action in accordance with their respective capabilities. Goal 11 is concerned with sustainable cities and communities. A focus of this goal is to, by 2030, ensure that all access to adequate, safe, and affordable housing and basic services are available to everyone, of every race, gender, and age. Even in today's world, there is a lack of workers knowledgeable in modern technology, so awareness needs to be brought to this issue for people to be able to advance in the future. We need to tell high school students about the good pay, career options, intelligence, skill, and hard work needed to succeed in trade careers, just like college. There is nothing wrong with attending college or attending a trade school instead. We need to tell people in full honesty about the benefits and drawbacks of having a trade job. Successful people come out of the trades and live good lives. There needs to be exposure for people to see. Have people go out to local high schools and give a talk about the trades. Speak to the parents of high schoolers to help dispel some of the misconceptions surrounding the trade careers. And perhaps try to petition to bring back the shop courses to all public high schools, and try to set up promotional displays at college fairs to let students interact with local experts in the trades. Allow for speakers to hold a talk at public buildings, such as libraries, discussing the merits of the trade industries and how they keep the local community running smoothly and happily. On a larger scale, write a letter to a senator or a congressman and ask for them to consider providing a platform in the city or state for trade workers to speak to the public. Have tax cuts for trade workers and thus make them even more desirable work for the general public. Finally, ask for funding for local schools to be able to maintain and add shop courses to their curriculum. Remember the young man at the beginning of this paper? Well, he made his decision. He has been working happily for over 30 years. He went into the carpentry trade. He started out as a grunt, then became a framer, then a carpenter, then a finished carpenter, then a master finished carpenter. His work is in demand among clients, and he has supported his family without fault in that time. The young man is my father, and he is a smart, hardworking, and strong person who has succeeded in the choices he made in his life. In the end, however, it does not matter what career we are in, as long as we bring glory to God through it in some manner. Our job, after all, is to be fishers of men and to spread the gospel. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. It does not matter if you are a teacher, a physicist, a welder, or a surgeon. We can all go out and do what is commanded of us in the Bible. Ecclesiastes states the beauty of all work best. In chapter 3, verse 23, Solomon states, "So I saw there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his work, for that is his lot. Who can bring him to see what will be after him?" And Ecclesiastes 12:13 says that regardless of what you are doing in your life, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Colleen. I do have a question for you. In regards to an additional stigma that exists regarding the trades, there are some who might think that people who go into the trades, and I don't agree with this, I'm just saying hypothetically, that they do not have the ability to cut it in college.
Yes,
How would you respond to that?
I'd say that that's a very common view and misconception that people have. An article by the Beaver County Technical Society, I believe, they are a trade school out in California, has said that they were the VOTech kids, or to others the slow tech kids, because they could not keep up with the regular academic courses, which is untrue. The Labor Department has statistics on this, and a greater degree of people with a high school diploma or higher level education are in the trades than those who don't have a high school diploma or have gone to college. So essentially there's a greater amount of people who are well educated than there are who aren't as well educated. So I think it's definitely something that people have to realize, that there are many people with bachelor's degrees, associate's degrees, a lot of people with master's degrees and higher that are working in the trades, more than people who haven't completed college or just have a diploma and haven't gone to high school or finished high school. And I think that needs to be brought awareness to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done, Colleen. So one question, you may have touched upon this, but could you expand on, so you quoted Plato and you said how the trades have been respected for all of history until recently. And so could you touch more on why do you think that shift happened? Why are they not as respected today?
So in the 1990s, especially here in Massachusetts, there was this push for the academic, making the colleges the focus of the students, so that when they graduate these students, they can say, well, 75% of our students went to these colleges, therefore we're really good, send your students to us. And it allows them to look better statewide and nationwide. It allows them to gain more funding from the state and the city. And so with that, they kind of pushed the shop courses aside because they felt that they were not this needed, important aspect of learning.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of play off of that answer that you made. Because I suspect that one of the reasons that is that, you know, college for all, you know, well, what, you know, the state has a reason for providing education to people, and that is to make compliant citizens. And I suspect that creating a large number of tradespeople who don't necessarily need the government and often have an independent mindset is not seen as being in the state's interest. I think all education has a purpose, and I think about classical education. You know, when we talk about that in our little community here, you know, we're educating for life, but not necessarily for a specific job, right? So, and sometimes I like to say, I like to think of it as we're actually preparing you to live and to die well. So, is there a way we can integrate classical education with trade preparation? To me, that's a really compelling idea, but there is that kind of dynamic where, as classical educators, we don't necessarily want to focus on the practical.
So I think that that's a very good point to make. And I would say, don't make it the focus. Have it be something that people can choose to do. Have it be an after-school activity maybe. Have somebody who is local come in and say, I can teach people how to do print, I can teach people how to do wood shop, and I can teach like masonry, we'll say, something a little bit more difficult. And allow the students in that community, that school community, to choose if they want to do that. And so they're still getting that benefit out of the school, but they're not making it the entire focus of the curriculum.
Colleen, so for those people that do not pursue a skilled trade as their career, what would you say? So for example, okay, as a teacher, I don't work with my hands, but you said how God is the first. He worked with his hands. And as humans, you made the case that that's an important thing just as human beings, to be like God is part of that is to be a worker and also to literally work with your hands. So I just have noticed sometimes, since my career does not really have that as part of it, if there's times when I, outside of that, do get to work with my hands, it does feel like that's a big piece missing in my life. So what would you recommend for someone that, if they don't pursue the trades, in a similar way of not say, okay, this doesn't apply to you, but it does apply to everyone in some sense of how can they be involved in it if it's not, but yet it's not their main career?
That's a very interesting question. I would say you have to try and see what's in your local community, because there might be opportunities where they're asking volunteers to come and we're going to help build this building. And so you can work with your hands there on like a weekend or something to help frame a house, or potentially like lay bricks for a sidewalk and potentially like weld some materials together. You can find, well, hopefully in the future, there will be this community bonding almost with this idea of being able to go out into the community, work with your hands alongside of whatever it is that you do 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So having that opportunity for people who want to do it but don't have the time in their regular schedule to be able to be involved in some way outside of their crazy work week.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Colleen. Our next senior is Alina.